Hey everyone, hopefully you all are doing quite well. It is Star Wars Collector back at it again with another LEGO video. Today we're discussing all the new Smart Play sets coming out on March 1st. So without further ado, let's dive right in. You have 5 sets here. You have the Millennium Falcon, you have an Endor set featuring an AT-ST and a speeder, then you have a Dagobah set featuring Yoda's hut, and we have 2 Tatooine themed sets. We have Luke's speeder and the Mos Eisley Cantina. Let's start with this Millennium Falcon. You get 4 minifigures here. You got a Luke Skywalker, you got a Han Solo, you got a Chewbacca, and a C-3PO. The Falcon has 885 pieces and has a retail price of around $999. And here, of course, is what the Falcon looks like outside the box. And here we have the top-down view of the Falcon. Now, personally, I gotta be a little critical here. I'm probably gonna be critical about all these sets, but the Falcon in particular, it looks very crammed. It doesn't look like there's a lot of space. And I totally understand. LEGO is really pushing for those smart brick features. I mean, that $99.99 price tag and how small the internals are doesn't really add up to me, especially when you look at how big the Falcon is compared to other ships, such as maybe like an X-Wing or a TIE Fighter. It doesn't correlate. Again, though, this is LEGO and it doesn't really need to make sense, but I also understand these type of sets aren't generally for display, but more along the lines of play. The Smart Brick truly is dedicated for that younger audience. So to expect that same level of quality out of something like a UCS set or some of the more expensive sets doesn't really seem logical. I personally think they should have added either more parts, more pieces, more spacious room inside the internals of the Falcon or lower the price. Now let's move on to the Endor set. In this set, you get 3 minifigures, you get an AT-ST driver, you get a Scout Trooper, and of course, the iconic Ewok. This set is comprised of 347 pieces and has a retail price of $49.99. And here's what the set and the scale of the AT-ST looks like outside the box alongside the minifigures. Judging by the scale of the AT-ST compared to the minifigures and the speeder, this seems a lot more accurate than what we just saw within the Falcon. Now, I think the price in this one is a little bit more justified than the Falcon. I still think it's relatively expensive due to the fact they're shoving that Smart Brick in here, but regardless, I think if you take that Smart Brick out and just have the set by itself, you could probably drop it about 10 to maybe 15 bucks. I think the highlight of the set is you're getting an AT-ST and a speeder in the same set, which adds a tiny bit of variety. Again, this set is just okay. Now we're on to the Yoda Dagobah set. This set has a retail price of $69.99 and comes with 440 pieces. Coming in at a $70 price count with only 3 minifigures, and judging by how small this set truly is, I think is absolutely egregious. I personally love LEGO and I'm a huge supporter of LEGO, but I cannot support the price tag on this one. Also, you only get half of Yoda's hut here, and I'm also relatively confused by the set itself. Now, where I'm confused the most here is what is the other buildable structure really supposed to be? Now, I could be completely wrong here, but this is my speculation. I think this is the Force. Now, the reason why I say this is because if you look at the packaging, Luke is doing a handstand with objects floating as if it were taken directly out of that scene in The Empire Strikes Back. But again, it's very interesting that LEGO chose to use a silver or metallic piece here rather than utilizing a transparent or translucent piece here, because to me that would represent the Force more than a big blocky silver piece. I understand this set was really designed for playability in mind, but again, I cannot get over that price tag. Now let's move on to the Tatooine sets. First with the Luke speeder. This set comes in at 215 pieces and has a retail price of $39.99. Now this is the cheapest set out of all the other ones we've seen so far. And this set comes with 3 minifigures. You got your Gonk Droid, you got your Jawa, and he looks like he's holding a green version of Mjolnir. Not exactly sure what they were doing with that or what that was supposed to represent. Maybe some type of tool, but they probably could have also chosen a better utilization of another LEGO tool to represent that, but I digress. And for the last one, we have Luke Skywalker holding the classic Anakin saber. And I'm assuming the structure that's being built in this set is supposed to be a nod to Tosche Station, where Luke was supposed to get his power converters in the original trilogy, but again, I'm not entirely sure. Now, I'm not sure if I'm being a little too critical here, probably am, but I just wish they kind of labeled the sets a little bit more accurately in terms of exactly what we're supposed to be building. Now, in this set, and even in the Yoda set, for example, the focal point is Yoda's hut, and of course the focal point here is supposed to be Luke's speeder, and I totally understand that. But again, when you have other elements like that whole Force thing I was talking about earlier, and also I'm guessing Tosche Station, if it's not clearly labeled, we don't know what we're building. Now, I might sound a little contradictory here, so hear me out. I know not everything truly needs to be identified within LEGO. There are a lot of themes that could be relatively self-explanatory, and that makes complete sense. Now, when we look at this one as well as the Yoda hut structure, we don't know if these are self-explanatory. We don't know if that structure in the Yoda one is supposed to be the Force or not, and in this one, we don't know if this is supposed to be Tashi Station, or is it just some random building that we find on Tatooine. Adding additional miscellaneous detail to a set definitely can make it feel a lot more alive, but those miscellaneous details need to be tasteful toward the set itself. If I were to hypothetically make my own version of a Tatooine set, I could take Mos Eisley, Mos Espa, Mos Pelgo, it doesn't matter, and I could theoretically make this set whatever I want because I can utilize any assets of any building and make any building that I want to. But when you have a set titled Land Speeder and you're tossing in a random building, it kind of does seem out of place, at least in my personal opinion. But anyway, here's what the set looks like outside the box fully built. And I personally don't think the speeder in the set really looks that bad at all, especially when you factor in things such as scale of the set itself. I think it looks relatively accurate to what you would typically see within a New Hope or even a UCS set. Of course, not as detailed, but regardless, you get the gist of it. The main thing I disagree with here, like all the other sets, really is the price itself. Otherwise, it's really not that bad. And of course, last but not least, we have the Mos Eisley Cantina. This set is 666 pieces and costs $79.99. In this set, you got 5 minifigures. You got Obi-Wan Kenobi, you got Greedo, you got 2 Biff musicians from the Cantina Band, and you also get a Stormtrooper. This set looks like it has the most playability here, but still the price of around $80 is still way too much in my personal perspective. But I do gotta say, this set does come with a couple unique scenes. Of course, you got the Greedo and Han scene in the booth, you got the Cantina Band, and of course the bar. And for whatever reason, a dewback is included and or advertised. Now, I understand dewbacks are on Tatooine, and of course, we've seen them in A New Hope, so it would kind of make sense to kind of include it, but when the set is labeled as the Cantina, then why would you include a dewback? It kind of seems a little out of place here. Maybe including other alien species from the Cantina scene would be a little bit more appropriate, because again, dewbacks are never going to be in the Cantina scene themselves, they're going to be outside. Just a very small, tiny nitpick there, but otherwise, I think it's just a cool set. As I said before, I believe every single set here is absolutely overpriced, and I'm not trying to be too critical of LEGO here. I just personally think they just priced these at a very, very high entry point. As I kind of mentioned before, these sets are really intended for that younger audience, and again, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that at all. But realistically, if I was a parent or getting a gift for maybe someone of a younger stature, I would probably stay away from these sets. Now, there are a ton of other LEGO Star Wars sets or just LEGO sets in general that will have a lot more value per piece count per dollar. I also cannot be too critical of LEGO here. They are just trying to innovate and elevate their current brand and really trying to evolve themselves as a company. And evolving as a company is smart. It's going to happen in one way, shape, or form. It's inevitable. It's going to be a thing. But at the same time, I also think they're kind of going about it the wrong way. Instead of having a dedicated set directly for these smart bricks, here is my best suggestion. Why not just create a traditional set and then have swappable parts for that additional smart brick? That way you can kind of keep costs down, and those who want to invest in that smart brick have the ability to do so. If I were to completely speculate, I think LEGO also spent a decent amount of R&D here, so they're trying to recoup their money somehow. But yeah, that's all you need to know about all these new sets coming March 1st. Let me know down below, will you be picking any one of these up? If you love Star Wars collectibles, Star Wars lore, or anything Star Wars in general, feel free to subscribe. And until next time, may the Force be with you and take care.